welcome to the Diplomat. The first meeting of Korea-Mexico Joint Committee for Economic Cooperation and Knowledge Sharing recently took convened in Seoul, South Korea to boost the economic cooperation between the two countries and also combat the growing global trade protectionism. Mexico is located on the other side of the globe from Korea, which is 12,500 kilometers away. However, the two countries are maintaining very close relationship and also making change together. Therefore, today on The Diplomat, we are going to sit down with the Mexican ambassador to Korea, Bruno Figueroa, to learn more about two countries' status of relations and also ambassadors' efforts to join the nations together.
¡Viva México! ¡Viva México! ¡Viva México!
Hello, Ambassador. It's a pleasure to have you on our show.
Thank you for inviting me to your wonderful program.
I heard that it's been like a year and a half since you started your tenure here in Korea. How has been your life so far here?
It has been for me an endless discovery of Korea. It has been my first posting in Asia and my first posting in Korea. So it has been for me discovering such a wonderful country every day.
What has been the most memorable moment over the year?
Well, in such an intense time, there are many moments I can really remember. When I presented my letters of credence to President Moon, and he will never forget because I was the first ambassador ever to present letters of credential to him. But also, I recall I took the first flight from Mexico City to Seoul.
The direct one?
For the direct flight ever. That was in July last year. Also, when I run with the Olympic torch in Gwangju in November last year, that was really exciting, unique. I was privileged to do that. And the inauguration of the Olympics, I was there also in that unique moment. So I've lived really several privileged moments of my life in only a year and a half.
Yeah. Speaking of the direct flight, Korea is nearly 12,500 kilometers, which is in miles 7,800 miles away from Mexico geographically. But I believe we got even more closer than ever today thanks to that direct flight. Therefore, traveling is now more convenient to both countries. What does this new service symbolize, and also what is the potential outcome?
Well, I would say that this direct flight between our two capitals is a game changer. We are so far away with the largest ocean between us. And now in only 15 hours, you can go to Mexico and eat some tacos, fresh tacos from a market. And in only 15 hours, any Mexican can come to Korea and enjoy traditional food. And the figures show already between January and August of this year, there are 25% more tourists from Korea to Mexico compared to last year. And also the figure of Mexican people coming to Korea has been increasing dramatically. And this is really fantastic because now people can know each other personally, directly. And there is so much interest in Korea about Mexico and in Mexico about Korea, in Korea, that only 20 years ago that did not exist. It's amazing how much K-pop is popular in Mexico. We are talking about hundreds of thousands of fans and from very early age. But you could also ask how popular is Mexico to K-pop. And I can tell you that now there are groups like Super Junior who perform in Spanish with Spanish songs. In their new album, they have a couple of Mexican songs. You have Eric Nam, he speaks Spanish, and he gave in Mexico a whole all-Spanish concert.
Wow, that's amazing. And speaking of culture, the animated film Coco offered a vivid glimpse of Mexican traditional and also sentiments as well. And I believe it was a big hit all over the world, including Korea, of course. This film was engaging, moving, and also reminded me of a few things that connect Korea and Mexico, and I believe one of them is, of course, family love. Do you also feel similarity between our cultures?
Well, it has been impressive how many people tells me how they were moved by the Coco movie. And that's not a surprise. I was personally surprised when I saw for the first time a Chuseok table because it reminded me of the altar we put at home between October 31st and November 2 with food, beverages. The only difference is that we put the picture of our deceased loved ones on the table, but the purpose is the same, to, in a particular date, to be close to them and to share with them what they loved most like their favorite food or beverage. And that's what Coco reminds us. And this is a cultural and social trait that links us Mexicans and Koreans.
Can you share some of the efforts made by the embassy to promote Mexican tradition and culture here in Korea?
The Mexican Garden in Suncheon is an initiative I'm very proud of because when I visited first the gardens for the first time, that was in June of last year. It's a wonderful place visited by millions of people around the year, and there is a Chinese garden, a Thai garden, a French garden, so you see an Italian garden, and you see landscapes and a little chateau from France, you see a Chinese traditional house surrounded by walls, and so that was incredible. And I asked, and where's the Mexican garden? Let's make one. And with the support of Suncheon university and a Mexican company that has investments in Suncheon, we work together and we create this garden. It's not easy to think, how do you translate the spirit of one country in a small place like a garden? And I think we succeeded, and it has been very, very successful. If you see it, it's very intense in colors with Mexican pink, strong blues and reds. There is a small grass pyramid that kids love to climb, to go up and down. So I'm really proud of it because there is a small footprint of Mexico in a place in Korea. It's the first time there is a Mexican garden in Korea.
Korea and Mexico established our diplomatic relations in 1962 and have been actively cooperating in many fields, and I believe especially economy. What's the status of our economic cooperation, and what kind of impact does it have on each country?
Mexico and Korea established a strategic partnership in the year 2005. And that has a reason, because our relationship is now so close, so important. It keeps growing, and still the potential is very, very large. Our trade is already above $19 billion US dollars. Korea is already Mexico's 6th trade partner. Just imagine, above Spain or Brazil, which are very important partners for Mexico. But now Korea's regarding trade and investment is so important. And Mexico also for Korea, Mexico is #1 partner in all Latin America. So we want to keep going forward. As I mentioned, the potential is huge. We have no trade agreement between us. And so we are convinced that with a trade agreement, we can do much more regarding trade and investment. And of course, the footprint of Korea in Mexico today is huge. You can imagine with the presence of such large companies as Samsung, LG, Kia Motors opened a car factory in Monterrey in the north of Mexico only 2.5 years ago. So it's impressive how much Mexico and Korea get stronger together in such a competitive world.
Right. I heard that Seoul recently hosted an international forum to boost economic cooperation between Korea and Mexico. So while we are at it, let's take a look at that moment.
The relationship between Korea and Mexico recently entered a new phase with the first meeting of the Korea-Mexico Joint Committee for Economic Cooperation and Knowledge Sharing. Then on October 5th, the two nations were given another chance to further boost economic cooperation, this time at the Korea-Pacific Alliance Forum. The Pacific Alliance is a Latin American trade bloc formed by Mexico, Chile, Colombia, and Peru, all of which border the Pacific Ocean. And Korea was chosen as a candidate state for associate member status this past July.
저는 이제 멕시코에 특별히 관심을 가지고 있는데, 그래서 특별히 한국과 멕시코에 대해서 좀 더 알고 싶어서 이번 포럼을 참석하게 됐습니다.
The Pacific Alliance has already removed 92% of tariffs on goods traded between the members, with the remaining 8% to be phased out by 2020. As a whole, the alliance is the world's 8th largest economy.
안녕하십니까? 잘 지내십니까? 이 자리에 함께 해주신 여러분 감사합니다.
At the forum, Ambassador Figueroa gave a presentation on the results of the Pacific Alliance Investment Summit 2018 and also expressed support for Korea's bid to become an associate member.
Korea is also a very strong partner for Mexico, and the initiative of being a Pacific Alliance associate state opens the door to deeper economic and cooperation ties between us. The Mexican government looks forward to this objective. 감사합니다. Muchísimas gracias.
그 FTA 양자 FTA를 갖고 있는 것과 지금 그 패시픽 어라이언스에서 어소시에이트 스테이츠가 되는 것 동일한 효과를 갖는 건지 아니면 좀 더 차별이 있는 건지 궁금하거든요. 그래서
La pregunta es muy pertinente. Lo han comprendido ustedes muy bien. El fundamento de la Alianza del Pacífico es la integración, en primer lugar, de bienes y servicios, pero también de capitales y el libre movimiento de personas entre múltiples iniciativas. Negociar con el único país con el cual no tiene un acuerdo de libre comercio, que es México, pero también le significará a Corea revisar, actualizar sus acuerdos de libre comercio con Perú, Colombia y Chile. Usted preguntaba sobre los beneficios y las ventajas, pues es precisamente que entre nuestros países va a haber un estándar de integración y liberalización como no ha existido hasta el momento. Muchas gracias.
The forum brought together a range of opinions on Korea joining the alliance while offering a vivid glimpse into the bloc's vision for the future.
포럼이 제가 원래 좀 관심이 있던 분야라서 또 요즘 관세 문제가 진짜 엄청 큰 이슈인데 오늘 좀 자세하게 들을 수 있어서 좋았고 또 여러 나라의 대사님들을 한 자리에서 만나 뵐 수 있어서 매우 영광이었고 정말 뜻깊은 시간이었습니다.
Yes, that was a great event. Frankly, we had many people, very interesting and important questions that were raised by the audience. Frankly, I am very satisfied with this forum.
Hopefully, Korea will reach that big milestone this year and further strengthen its partnerships with Mexico and all the other member states.
So what issues were tabled for the discussion for the forum here?
That was a forum about the Pacific Alliance and Korea. The Pacific Alliance is a grouping of 4 countries. It's Mexico, Colombia, Peru, and Chile. We invited Korea to be part of the Pacific Alliance. And the presence of Latin America is still quite low in the Korean market. Even with countries that already have free trade agreements, and Chile, Peru, and Colombia have free trade agreements with Korea, not Mexico, so that's something that through the Pacific Alliance we are sure we can establish. It's also about investments, investments from Korea in our countries and from our countries in Korea. There is much we can do together, and we are convinced that the Pacific Alliance is an excellent platform to do it.
I see. Speaking of economic relationship, Korea and Mexico launched the first bilateral consultant body to discuss economic issues, and it was held its first meeting in Seoul recently. What is this body about, and what is it aiming for?
It's very important that our highest officials meet regularly to review issues of a bilateral interest, but also international issues. In these quite difficult times, it's very important that we not only share our views on the important matters, but also that we agree how to tackle them in the international fora, for instance, the G20 or at the United Nations. So in that particular case, Mexican Minister of Finance came to Seoul and had a meeting with the Vice Prime Minister and Minister of Finance Kim. And so they reviewed bilateral issues of interest about the economic situation of Mexico, the economic situation of Korea, how to improve our relationship through several initiatives regarding investments, for instance, and also issues of interest for both countries.
I see. Besides economically, in which other areas do you think two countries should cooperate for greater benefit?
Definitely, Mexico and Korea share many values, and we fight for them. The environment, for instance, we both strongly support the Paris Agreement on climate change. We both have been part of many international initiatives for many years. Korea supported Mexico very strongly when we had the climate change international meeting in Cancun in the year 2010, as we also have been supporting Korea in many initiatives led by Korea. The international security agenda is also very important to Mexico. We have been supporting South Korea in the issues regarding permanent peace in the Korean Peninsula and denuclearization. Mexico has been fighting for denuclearization in the world for more than 50 years now. We have successfully established a nuclear-free zone in Latin America, and we support any initiatives for nuclear-free zones in other parts in the world. So really there are many values, human rights and democracy, where Mexico and Korea work hand in hand.
Right, I agree. Last but not least, could you tell us your plan to even further improve our ties between Korea and Mexico?
Well, I have definitely many ideas. There is still so much to do. First of all, to increase people-to-people contacts, to get more Mexican students to Korea. You have such a strong higher education, and today it's much easier for foreigners to study a master's, a doctorate in Korea, because now there are classes in English, and also more Korean students in Mexico, because there's the need to get more professionals dealing with what we do together, especially in the economic arena. I also look forward to establish a Latin American chamber in Korea to get a stronger articulated voice for the businesses that represent the interests of Latin America and especially Mexican firms in Korea. So, and much more cultural presence of Mexico here. So I'm keeping very busy, and I really look forward to do many more things in the future.
Ambassador, thank you very much for your time and also sharing your insights with us today.
Welcome. It was a pleasure for me to be in the program.
You know
that much. Societies change sometimes faster than the way
Law kind of follows culture. Culture.
there are no recipes.
Right.
I mean, the experience of one country have less children, but they still do not. I would say an ambassador is a catalytic of change. He can do a lot of things contacting the important people for that change. I would say that there is nothing impossible you can achieve. When there is will, there is action. And there is a Korean phrase I love and I take it mine, which is something half begun is something done.